Ladies and gentlemen, I have only just cast a game, but I wish to cast another. That last game was so exciting. It's got me pumped. It's got me feeling the StarCraft. And today, game 2 for you will be between LuwayRush as the pink Protoss in the bottom left, and as the red Zerg in the top right is July. So July Zerg, you guys all know who he is. He has been quite successful in the past. He's still very, very good, but hasn't really won anything huge lately, I don't think. But definitely a top-level Zerg player. Tends to play a more aggressive, more original style, very harassive Zerg, rather than the macro style that you might see from Idra. So very original and very cool to watch. He's definitely changed the way a lot of Zerg play. And so interesting things will come from him, I'm sure of it. LuwayRush, however, is a Protoss, much like OGSMC, that has been forged in the native lands of StarCraft. And so he is a foreign player. He's not from the North American server or anything like that. I think he's either from the CA server or the Korean server. So I'm not sure which one, but I looked him up and yeah, I couldn't even find an English cast on the guy, so so he's that foreign. So yeah, I haven't watched him play, and I'm really excited to see a game from him. Hopefully, he can bring on the pain. I am a Protoss fan, so if this is a up-and-coming or already successful Protoss player, I'd love to see him rock July Zerg's world. But at the same time, out of all the Zergs out there, July Zerg is one of my favorite, right there with Vile Spinishua. So, you know, this could go either way for me, and I will be very, very happy. And we are going to see a spawning pool coming down. That is a 15 pool without a hatch, so I like that. I like that already. Not even going for a hatch, so we might see some one-base aggression before he ever expands. Although the commenters on my videos have also suggested that against Protoss, a lot of Zergs are saying these days that it's too risky to even try getting that early expansion. So a lot of Zerg players won't expand till like 21 supply. So he is at that 20 supply mark. We'll see if he tries to take an expansion. He gets 4 lings to deny this probe from doing what it wants to do, and maybe he will go for an expansion. Either that, or he will try to punish the Protoss down here for taking this early expansion with nothing but a forge. So he's getting a forge, he's getting a gateway before he even gets a cannon. And that does make for a smooth transition into the next part of his play. I mean, you can't take a fast expansion and not have a next step. So, very interesting. Oh, he does have a cannon. I didn't even see that. I'm so tunnel vision sometimes. So, we do see Lynx coming out. He is taking that expansion now. So there you go. And this, yeah, very macro opening again. So we're going to see, I guess the last game started to look macro, but then never went macro. It turned into a high-pressure game, both players attacking each other the whole time. So maybe we'll see something like that again. Or maybe they'll just build up 2 giant death armies and roll each other over. Who knows? But I'm definitely excited for this game. I've said that like 5 or 6 times now. I'm going to start punching myself in the chest. Myself. Holy shit, Matt. Learn to words! And we do have the cyber core down, so we are going to start to see some gas saturation. Yep, there we go. And hopefully see where his tech is heading. Just stalkers so far. No tech structures. He probably will need to saturate these gases to turn his gameplay into a different direction. Taking a look at the income tab, I'm going to guess that the Protoss is ahead at this point. Yes, he is 28 to 22. And now that the Zerg has his hatchery up, though, that'll change very quickly. But this does put him in a comfortable position. The Protoss player is now toe-to-toe with the Zerg player. And hopefully he can maintain his Harvester lead and make this expansion pay for itself. He only has 1 gateway, 2 more on the way. So we are going to see some 3-gate play as far as I can tell. Dropping some more cannons because he knows his production is on the low side, and 1 stalker cannot take a large amount of lings and roaches, and that is what is coming for his base. So let's see how he handles this. I mean, he should be fine, though, with the amount of cannons that he's put down. And very interested to see how this goes. He's only got one stalker now. His gateways are finishing, and Warp Tech is nowhere near finished. So he's going to be in some trouble unless he can micro this properly. Cannons are placed well. He needs to surround these with his probes, I think. There are a lot of roaches here. Cannon does take out one roach. Stalker goes down to the lings, and now there are 3 roaches here kind of reigning free. But Sentry and 2 stalkers on the way. Going back to the production tab here for you. Lots of lings, 12 lings coming up for July Zerg, and this is that early game pressure that I was talking about. We may in fact see another one of those games where both players just pound at each other all game long. The Zerg player July is trying to get this Nexus down. Good force fields from LuwayRush to protect this cannon and keep it up, keep it shooting at the Zerglings. Now he is behind in Harvesters. He lost that early lead that he did maintain, and now it's going to come down to Stalker Micro, because the cannon in his line did go down. There are a lot of lings, and Stalkers cannot deal with lings. Not in the numbers that they are in right now. He's focusing down the roaches, which is also a good play, because roaches are really the meat of this army. And the lings are the DPS here. And wow, that was some great early aggression by July Zerg, but it's not even over. So there is becoming a large counter, holy shit, Stalker count for LuwayRush. And that Warp Tech is just about finished, and that's what he needed at this point. Hopefully he can switch into some later game tech for the mid game and swing this game back in his favor. Look at this, July Zerg already going to take his 3rd. Very preemptive and very good decision making. We do have the layer tech on the way, so we are going to see the mid game tech switch from July Zerg as early as 9 minutes, and if he gets a 3rd up by the 10-minute mark, I will be so impressed. What macro, and I mean, like, a 3rd isn't necessarily impressive from the Zerg, but after putting on that much aggression and taking your 3rd by the 10-minute mark, that is impressive. So I've seen macro Protoss such as LuwayRush take his 3rd in the 10-minute mark, but we're definitely not going to see that from LuwayRush, seeing as how he lost so many Harvesters in that last attack. I'm going to pop back into the income tab for a second, and we're now seeing that the Zerg has pulled way ahead, 46 to 36, 10 Harvester difference, and it's not like Protoss has mules to put himself, to close that gap. What you see is what you get. And going back to the production tab, we are seeing some roach upgrades. Oh no, sorry, that's Glial Constitution. That is for the Overlords, if I'm not mistaken. No, yeah, okay, that is the roach upgrade. I was right the first time, ladies and gentlemen. And the weapons 1 for ranged attack, so he's really going, he's going into Hydra Tech now. I completely missed that. Where did that go? Where's the Hydra Den? There it is. There it is. I was right on top of it. So July going into Roach Hydra play. There is an army here for LuwayRush. If he's going to do any kind of engagement, he can't go too far onto this creep, because the second he steps onto that creep and lets July know he's there, July is going to spit out a boatload of units and send them across the creep. Really all that that Rush can do is push back these creep tumors, and that is a very effective method of harassment against Zerg, because the units are so slow off creep. You can really exploit force fields and do a lot of damage to their army when you are off creep. However, lings are still very fast, very mobile, and there is, okay, this is just an overload. I was worried it was going to be a Baneling drop or something exciting like that, and I was about to miss it, but that is not the case. And the Zerg army is going to come down this ramp. He is off creep, like I said, so there's not much he can do there. The Zerg needs, so the Protoss needs some sort of observer, because he's going to be up against burrow roaches. He's going to be up against the creep tumors. He needs to have detection against this army, although this is the kind of army that can just steamroll the Protoss straight up. It doesn't need any kind of trickery play. If it gets into stupid numbers, which off 3 bases, it's very possible, especially against the Protosses too, they can just simply overwhelm the Protoss. And the Protoss can get a lot of Stalkers to deal with the roaches, but then a wave of Ling comes, and the Stalkers just can't deal with the instant tech switch from the Zerg player. So good force fields from LuwayRush, very well timed and well placed. and a couple little extra ones. This one was kind of a waste, so I don't know what that was for, but now the Zerg army is regrouped. More force fields will come down, cutting off the army. I'm not sure why July is committing to this like this. I guess he's trying to do as much damage as he can because he knows he can restock his army very quickly. The cost of the supply and the cost of the army is not the same. At only 100 minerals for a Hydra, I believe. Let's see. I can't even look at that. Where are your larvae? Yeah, we're looking at 100 minerals, 50 gas. So, not the most expensive unit in the world for how easily it dominates gateway units. So really, it's just LuwayRush's force fields keeping him in this game, and he was not watching. The Zerg player does get a little bit of a preemptive attack on the Protoss army, and the Protoss army met at a bad angle. He did not have any sort of concave, and it's what he really needs when he uses those force fields. So he's slowly filtering the Zerg through these force fields. July needs to be microing this a lot better, and he's just letting his units die. And I mean, it's only good to be wasteful to a certain point, but right now LuwayRush is not really losing much to the relentless attacks from July Zerg. However, it is allowing July to spread his creep tumors across the map, and he will eventually be able to start taking his 4th and his 5th base. So at the very least, these attacks are keeping LuwayRush contained, but he is going to be warping in more units and able to deal with this army quite easily. July is allowing Luway to build up this Protoss ball, although he is seeming to be keeping up in supply. It's 110 to 102, so it's not like July is falling behind. I guess if anything, he's keeping the Protoss number in check and just waiting for his macro to kick in. What is his income at now? He is at 62 harvesters. He's fallen behind the Protoss. I'm not really sure what his plan is. Going back to production for you. Weapons 1 coming out for the Protoss. He's taking his 3rd now. He's managed to get that off. This Overseer is wandering around the base unchecked. There's a useless Robo Bay here. It's not producing anything. I'm not sure why that is. Stopping one gateway from being used with that ability. What's that ability called again? Contaminate. You don't see it used very often, which I don't know why. It's a great ability and it's free. You just wander around and use it. But I guess if that Overseer ever gets sniped, that's a pylon going down. But it pays for itself if you can stop production for a little while, especially if you can throw it down on a Nexus, stop him from producing probes, and get that harvester advantage. That would be nice. But you know, yawn. Not because this is boring. You know, you guys should just assume that I'm just a terrible sleep cycle person, and I'm always going to be tired. But I like this wall off. However, the problem with this is he can't get his own units close enough to defend. Look at this. The Roach is coming close to fight the cannons, and wow, Banelings are going to smash this. Great force field preventing the Banelings from getting close to the cannons, so the production goes down. But he did do a huge blow to the Zerg army, and just dwindling his numbers. Look at the size of the army here for the Protoss player. The supply is still very even, but the Zerg needs to be ahead in supply because his units don't take up as much supply and they're not as powerful. But look at this, getting into the Protoss natural, catching him out of position. He's gonna get the Cybernetics core, which will stop Stalker production for a while. He needs to produce Immortals now out of where'd that Robo Bay go? Oh, it's contaminated. So he can't produce Colossus or Stalkers at this point, and that's a huge blow. Is he going to drop another Cyber? Does he even realize what's happened? He's not dropping another Cyber core. He will not be able to produce Stalkers. So what is his reaction going to be? He's just going to continue to chrono out Thermal Lance, get his Weapons 3. Weapons 3. I didn't realize he was so far into his upgrades. And still not dropping another Cyber core. I don't think he realizes it went down yet. But as soon as these open up, he'll try to warp in Stalkers and realize he can't. And yeah, now that that's happened, we're probably going to see a Cyber core go down now. I think, he couldn't press the hotkey, but I think Yeah, he tried to push the hotkey for stalkers and it wouldn't work, and he was confused, so he paused the game. But only after did he realize he simply didn't have a cyber core, and that's why he couldn't produce the stalkers. So he dropped a wave of zealots, and then instantly went to go drop a cyber core. And holy crap, do those ever build fast! So it's almost done, and I only just finished talking about him trying to build it. So lots of muta on the board now, which was interesting because he did deny any stalkers from coming out. So I guess that's well played. I think he could do more damage by sniping those pylons than coming for this mineral line, because it's almost mined out. He's not going to need those. He is ahead in harvesters, but not ahead in bases. So I don't know. We'll see. He could have done a lot of damage by sniping these pylons, supply blocking the Protoss, although he is almost maxed. And once his death ball gets big, oh, these roaches are going to come over here and get this mineral line too. So that is actually now making the mineral line snipe from the muta very effective, because now there's no active mining by the Protoss. Just as natural here that is far oversaturated. And if those roaches get engaged by the Protoss army, it looks like the Protoss army is going to push out. Where is the bulk of his army? Oh, there it is. Wow, there's a lot of stalkers. So the Protoss army is going to split up into two parts. One stalker ball, and it looks like half stalkers in like a bit of a mix here with 3 Colossus. He is keeping his Colossus count down, which is a good play because you don't want the Zerg to transfer. Look at this! Concave mutas on the left, Banelings on the right, good force fields minimizing the damage, but the splash from the muta is so much. However, the stalkers with the weapons 3 tears the muta apart, and it was not a good engagement for the Zerg army. Hopefully he has some energy for force fields left to cut this bio over here in half. Interesting that LuwayRush is not choosing to get Archons. He does have a lot of gateway tech, so I'm surprised that he hasn't gone into any kind of Templar tech at all. But this is working for him very well. Just the brute force of the Stalkers and Colossus together with his force fields is working beautifully. He does have Blink for extended micro purposes, and I think he could come over here and roll this Expo if he wanted to, and it looks like that's what he might decide to do. Here he comes down. He's going to engage these spine crawlers, and it's not a big deal. He could be blinking. He's going to lose that Stalker instead of blinking it back, so he could have microed that a little bit further, been a little more cost effective. Here comes a big Zerg army. He's going to force field it back and force it to engage funny, but he does have a good concave. The roaches are out of range of the Stalkers though, so free pot shots for those Stalkers. He's not blinking them back like he could be to avoid losses. He's just letting them die, and so I'm not sure what the purpose of Blink is for him. He just kind of has it to have it, but he's being a little bit wasteful. But he does have the right composition, so here come those Corruptors, and but he's been wise. He's been keeping his Colossus count low, like I said, so once the Corruptors deal with the Colossus, they're useless, and it's just money spent. And he's retreating. I don't know why. I think he should just throw his units at this army. This is a bad spot for him to engage. He has more units, so fighting in the open would have been advantageous for him, because he could have gotten the surround. Instead, he fought in the choke and made these small amount of units more cost effective. So keep that in mind, guys, when you are playing your own ladder matches. If you have the greater numbers, fight in the open so you can get the surround. If you are low in numbers, think of that movie 300, guys. Fight in the choke, because numbers don't matter in the choke. So great play by both of these players, although I think July has been a little bit sloppy. He's been throwing his units away quite a bit, and he could have been more cost effective a number of times, but he's making the best of what he's got. And I don't know, I feel like July is being outplayed here. He's making a lot of rash decisions. I think that comes hand in hand with his aggressive style. It's kind of do or die, and apparently he's chosen die. So he is replacing the Colossus that he lost, LuwayRush that is. The Zerg player is not building Colossus. I apologize for the lack of surprise. And July Zerg is just scouting the map, keeping map control with those Corruptors, so that's good. If he can transition into Broodlords, he might not have the money to do something like that, but that unit could buy him back into the game. He can't beat the Protoss ball with what he has here. Banelings are not going to be effective against the Stalkers, and even once they do damage, he can blink the damage Stalkers back. So, I don't know. It's not a good situation for the Zerg right now. He is going to try to retake this gold. He's long distance mining it currently, and it's going to be extremely difficult for him to hold. He does not have any kind of army. Just this pathetic little ball. I think the Colossus alone could kill most of those Banelings before they even make contact due to the weapons 3 that he does now have. Yeah, he's going to go for a run by, but the Protoss player does catch it. I'm not sure how, though. I'm not sure where his spotting is. He must have an observer somewhere, but not that I see. Maybe he just saw it with the towers. I'm not sure. But they are playing a little bit of a ring around the rosy, around this hole. And they're just waiting for the engagement. I don't know why the Protoss army doesn't just go and run that army over. With Blink, he could catch it at a position. And here, the Zerg army is going to commit, I think. He's buying time, and now that his expansion's up, he can saturate that. And he gets a Colossus at a position, but now the Blink Stalkers are going to run and engage. I think that LuwayRush thinks there's more units there than there are, but now he realizes that's not the case. He's going to chase it down, ending up accidentally blinking a couple of his Stalkers up onto the high ground, and he will eliminate this army very one-sidedly. So these Stalkers will now be able to blink down, join the army again, and Colossus are just going to be like, "What's up, bro?" And they're going to walk over that high ground. So now the Zerg cannot defend this base. There are a big ball of Muta coming over here, and sure, it might be able to do mineral line damage, but it will never be able to base trade, ever, because of these cannons and because of the warping capability of the Protoss. So I think Muta were the wrong choice here. That money could have been spent better. That army will never be able to kill this army. It's just all there is to it. So I'm not sure what July was thinking. This game is clearly over. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you were hoping for some sort of comeback from July. And looks like LuwayRush, the forum player here, will take this game. I don't know why July hasn't GG'd yet. He knows it's over. He's just kind of, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe they're talking on Skype or something. This is a custom game. And there's the GG. There is the GG. So, very impressed by LuwayRush, managing to hold off that early aggression that came from July Zerg, even though Luway did fast expand. So maybe if that rush came a little bit earlier from July, maybe if he'd not run all his lings into the cannons to get force field and die, who knows. Also, he was throwing away units once he had the lead, and he needed to just macro up and steamroll Luway. So well, that's the game, and you guys are watching StarCraft Inc. I'm SSN Incarnate. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.